live stream. I'm looking forward to this live stream because I can finally make a special announcement that I've wanted to make for a while. I just wanted to wait till it was confirmed. So please take a moment, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Let me know how you guys are doing, and we'll give it about an hour in, and then we'll give the special announcement. I've not put this anywhere else yet because I want to do it on this stream for all of the Square and Compass fans. So let's give it a few. Let's see who joins. Please hit like and subscribe. Today, the focus is going to be on the announcement. And the contents of the announcement, the value of the announcement, the way I believe this announcement will help us within Freemasonry. But I want to wait to see who jumps on first. It's been a great few days for Square and Compass Promotions. And I hope that because it's been a great few days for Square and Compass Promotions, it can become a great few days for Freemasonry as well. Obviously, the goal of this is to promote the ways Freemasonry was and is relevant to the communities in which it's located. The hope being that by doing so, we are able to promote or help grow Freemasonry, whether that be growth in its relevance, growth in its membership engagement, growth in its membership, growth in, heck, even its financial growth. But first, let's give it a few. Let's wait to see who joins. Please jump in the chat. Please say hello. As always, you can do the whole super chat thing. You can do the whole donation thing, membership, all that good jazz. And thank you so much for being here. Hello, Dad. How's it going? I hope that you are doing well. Your birthday's coming up soon. Any plans for it? I still got to send you your gift once the postal strike ends. I'll get it sent your way, or I could send it another way as well, perhaps through courier services. But I hope that you are doing well. And thank you, Dad, for joining. I hope everybody in your unit's doing well as well, or in your apartment complex. Let's give it a bit of time. Let's see who joins. By the way, do not forget, you guys can do the super chats. You can do the live streams, stickers. You can become a member of the channel. All that good stuff. Good. I'm glad that you got your house cleaning done. And thank you so much for being here. Right now, we're just giving it a bit of time. Actually, let's see. Usually, I find when we have our Chili D's, it's going well. How are you doing? Okay, I did not know that. Good for her, I guess. I do not believe it's the Jews that rule anything. I think Jewish people are just like anybody else, but they don't have any. This argument of they kind of some conspiracy of Jewish people ruling things, I think, is silly. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I've heard that conspiracy theory a lot. Unfortunately, it pops up a lot in my stream because unfortunately there is a branch of anti-Semitism that often aligns itself with Freemasonry, or against Freemasonry, I should say, and considers Judaism and Freemasonry to be kind of the same thing, which is unfortunate that anti-Semitism, I mean, it's fortunate anti-Semitism exists, and then it's unfortunate when it targets not just Jewish people, but Freemasons as well. Hopefully that goes away over time. Nice. Oh, I mean, I have a few different theories about that, but that's kind of a political question, right? I think the most obvious thing is they are the one democracy that exists in that region, and as a consequence of that, the most powerful democracy in the world is likely going to want to support any democracy that exists in that region. Plus, you keep them on your good side. It means, for example, if you need to deploy troops or house troops in the Middle East, you can use Israeli as an area in which to do so. And even if you're not doing it now, it doesn't mean you can't potentially do it in the future. I don't think it's a matter of supporting them because of Judaism. I think it's a matter of supporting them because they made a geopolitical calculation. Now, you can agree or disagree with that calculation, right? And that's perfectly fine either way. But I don't believe that that means the calculation was based on religious grounds. And Chile D's is not wrong. European political decision making basically forced Jewish people into kind of one single profession almost. There's a lot of anti-Semitism throughout history. India. Hello, India. Please hit like and subscribe. Thank you so much. I hope you'll consider giving a super chat, and I hope that you're doing well. I remember way back in the day when I was in law school, we had a course on different types of legal arguments, and I used The Merchant of Venice and I can't think of his name now. The Pound of Flesh guy. We used his speech to demonstrate different types of reasoning and different types of arguments that one can make. So, Chili D's, what do you grow in your garden? I'd be curious to know. And do you have like a favorite thing you grow in your garden? Let's see. I mean, in some ways, you could argue that. I think it's not a direct extension, but there's an argument to be made there because, right, it was what the Roman Empire became Catholic under the Emperor Constantine, um, in whenever it was, but there are still many pagans, I guess, or kind of pagan religions within the Roman Empire up to and past its at least the decline of the Western Roman Empire in what 452 BC AD, excuse me. I think it was 452 AD. But let's give it a bit of time. Let's see who joins. Do you read any Masonic literature or other written works about Freemasonry? The reason I'm asking that is because we have our special announcement to make um, today, and part of that has to do with written works within Freemasonry. Nice, Chili D's. Hence your name. Spicy chilies, mild chilies. What type of chilies are you growing? And as always, we're just getting a bit more time. Wait to see who joins. And in one, actually in at 2 p.m. Eastern, special announcement. There we go. I'm going to put that in there. I'm going to make this a pinned message. So 2 p.m. Eastern, which is about 50 minutes from now. In the meantime, we're just going to wait to see who joins. And as always, what do you want to talk about? Welcome, EA Freemason. Thank you, EA Freemason. That's very kind of you. And I'm very happy that you got your Chicken Express. That sounds delicious. Thank you so much for being here. Oh my gosh, so you are growing the spicy stuff, Chili D's. You are growing the very spicy stuff, but that's still awesome. So EA, was it a business meeting? Did you have a degree happening? When I say business meeting, I never say just a business meeting. Meetings are important, business or otherwise. But what type of meeting was it for you? Nice. And I know that your lodge is relatively small, but like I said, I still hope to get there at some point. I think it'd be really fun. I love small towns. I've loved all my time small towns in Texas. Sorry, Chili D's. Which online shop? Do you mean your online shop? Are you selling your chilies? What is the online shop to which you refer? But by all means, plug away. I mean, I'm happy to mention something on my channel about it. Okay, so what are you selling in your online shop? I mean, can you even sell chilies online? How would you ship them? I'm working on my online shop as well. However, we do have super chats and we do have stickers. You can just do it for just $1 if you want to do a super chat. It would be much appreciated and much obliged. Heck, even 50 cents. I'm curious to see how the super chats grow. Okay, by all means, yeah, plug away. Like I said, if you want to do some sponsorships with Square Encompass Promotions, we can talk about that as well. You just shoot off an email at info@squareandcompass.ca. Oftentimes, that's the way it is, EA Freemason. Oftentimes, the smallest lodges indeed have the best guys in the world. So, good for you. And I'm glad that your Masonic experience is going well. So shoot me off an email, ChiliD's info@squareandcompass.ca if you're interested in possible sponsorships. And let's give it a bit more time. And as always, we're just going to wait and see who joins. Big announcement, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So 45 minutes. Good. And how's your proficiency going, EA? I'm assuming well, but don't rush it, right? Like I always say, there's never any need to rush anything. Just take your time and enjoy the process. Far too often we, I think, forget about enjoying our Masonic journey. We in such a rush to get to the end, whatever the end might be, that we forget to take the time to enjoy it. Two yeses, one no. Do you read any Masonic literature other than written works about Freemasonry? So we got to get that number up. It should be 100% saying yes, but that's okay. Another interesting question somebody asked and I was thinking of making this a poll question, would you put being a Freemason on your resume? I would, but I'm curious what other people would do about that. I think that's going to be a question I ask in future. And maybe do a podcast episode about that as well. I think that's a good way to look at it. Sometimes if our focus is on enjoying Freemasonry, we forget about the point that it's not about enjoying it, it's about making it matter or fulfilling our duties, as you say. So I definitely think that's very fair. Um, I think sometimes we in Freemasonry we focus so much on the enjoyment of the process, we forget that the actual goal needs to be not enjoyment per se, but fulfillment. Right? People, for example, don't necessarily enjoy exercise, but they find it fulfilling, or they will find it fulfilling. Right? I think that's how I feel. Right? In the sense that I don't necessarily like to exercise. I don't hate it, but I don't enjoy it per se. But I do find it fulfilling when I finish it, and I feel like I've done something that not just makes me healthier, but allows me to better contribute to the world around me. So we're going to give it a bit more time, and as always, wait to see who joins. Please take a moment, hit the like and subscribe button if you are just joining us. We are 1 week, actually 6 days away from our next 24-hour live stream starting October 21st at 2 p.m. Eastern. 2 p.m. was the time set by my patrons. If you want to get access to opportunities to vote on what you want to see Square Incomes Promotions do, on where the direction you want to see us take the channel, topics you want us to discover or discuss, or ways you want for Square Incomes Promotions to engage with you, the best way to do so is by becoming a patron. You will oftentimes get first access to polls and questions. And if you do want to nominate subjects to discuss, you're more likely, I'm more likely to see them and engage with them if you are a patron or if you're a member of the YouTube channel. FM fills some of the regularity of service. It's very interesting you bring that up, Chili's. Mr. Keeps, you're going to hate me probably in a second, but I have never seen Back to the Future. I've never seen any Back to the Future. And I know for a lot of people that's their favorite movie. If it's yours, I'm very sorry. It's interesting you bring that up, Chili D's, because what I found was in my researches, the two great boom periods within Freemasonry, when we had the greatest number of members, at least new members joining, was the 1920s and the 1950s. And that's true for Canada, America, and England. I don't know beyond that. I think the boom period in other countries is actually later. However, the reason I bring that up is because the numbers grew primarily thanks to veterans returning from World War I and World War II. In the 1920s and 1950s, it was veterans pushing our membership numbers so high. And when you say, since my retirement from the military, Freemasonry fills some of the regularity of service. When I asked some Masonic or some military personnel, including some Masons who were military personnel, about why they joined either during or after the military, Some did say it was about fulfilling a desire to serve. A lot said it was about trying to maintain a feeling of brotherhood that they had while in the service outside of it. But either way, I think there's a really interesting and fascinating kind of question or idea as it relates to, um, the extent to which military service perhaps in some ways encourages being involved in Freemasonry. The other thing to keep in mind, though, and I think this is as important, you'll notice that I said, 1920s, 1950s, after the end of the Vietnam War, and you had soldiers returning primarily to America from the end of the Vietnam War, you did not see that same membership boom. In fact, the veterans returning after Vietnam tended not to want to join Freemasonry. And I'm really curious as to what that tells us. I think there's a lesson in there somewhere, or at least an insight into Freemasonry and our member engagement. I think that insight is due to kind of the, whether perceived or real, I guess people can decide for themselves, but due to the either perceived or real bungling of a lot of the Vietnam War by institutions, government institutions, the Pentagon, uh, politicians, people developed, or the soldiers returning from Vietnam developed a very suspicious, negative, disillusioned view of institutions in general. And Freemasonry, which had been considered a institution, a community institution in many ways, I think got caught up in that. And, as people grow disillusioned with government, as people grow disillusioned with society, so too will they grow disillusioned with Freemasonry and be less likely to join. And I think you saw that with the soldiers returning from from Vietnam. So, Chili D's, let me know if what I said made any sense to you, if that sounds reasonable, or if you think that there's something else I might be missing. Obviously, I'm assuming you're, past the Vietnam era, but I don't know. I suppose if you're young enough, old enough, you might have joined the military at that time. Um, Either way, I think, and that's something in some ways that does create a problem for Freemasonry in that so much of us, we are at the mercy of societal forces beyond our control, right? We can't, if the government messes up and suddenly people are disillusioned with institutions in general, that's beyond our control, right? Some would say the solution is to try to separate ourselves from the idea of an institution in general and turn ourselves into kind of a very esoteric club. But I think in any extent, whether people view us wrongly as a religion or they view us as a social club or fraternity or a civics organization, at the end of the day, there's always going to be an institutional quality to Freemasonry or how they view us. I don't mean we all need to be committed, though certainly we do, but rather in the sense that we will always be in some way, shape, or form tied to this more broad idea of institutional engagement, institutional power, institutional control. Which two different militaries, Chili D's, if you don't mind my asking, which two militaries were you active with? I'm not going to hear you out, Seth. You should not sneak out of your house unless you're in danger, in which case you should call 911 and sneak out of your house. Otherwise, you're on your own. I'm not helping anybody sneak out of their house. Kimari, hello. How's it going? Thank you for being here. I hope that you are doing well. And by the way, you're absolutely right. Masonic representation in film is always a good topic. I've discussed that a few times in the past, especially with my friend Igor Strukin, but I could use more assistance. So, or use more discussion and topics. Wow, so you're going to the hot spots. That's for sure. Swiss and US. Was it one of those things where, because I've seen on television, I don't know how accurate it is, in fairness, but I've seen on television they do, like armies will do exchanges where they'll send, the Swiss army will send somebody to America to train with Americans and vice versa, as a way to strengthen the bonds between the different militaries and allies. Okay, Kamari. Well, then ask me a question about Masonic stuff, and I'll do my best to answer. I hope you'll hit the like button and subscribe button. I also hope you'll consider doing a super chat if you want. And if you don't, no problem at all. I'm just happy to have you here. Well, in that case, thank you still for being here. I truly appreciate it. Is there any Masonic stuff in particular you have questions about? My announcement's coming at 2, which means I still have about 35 minutes. And then while I'm making the announcement, I'm happy to kind of take any questions. There were always 2. Why is that? Is that just a treaty agreement? Is that to strengthen the relationship between Swiss and U.S. Navy or Air Force? You say pilots? No. The symbol to which you're referring is, some call it the Eye of Providence, some call it the All-Seeing Eye, and the pyramid. Right? So Ben Franklin was a Freemason, but the actual designer of the dollar bill was not a Freemason. The all-seeing eye or eye of providence is actually a very common symbol. It's not exclusive to Freemasonry by any means. To my knowledge, it was placed on the dollar bill for the same reason almost every group or society has at some point had some type of symbol called the all-seeing eye, eye of providence. A way to remind us that God, the great architect, pick your term, supreme being, whatever you want to call it, is kind of watching us. And we have a responsibility to act in accordance with, act in a moral way. So it's not actually a Masonic symbol per se. It's a symbol that, transcends, predates Freemasonry. Same thing with the pyramid, right? Pyramids were very popular, Egypt in general, Egyptian mythology, Egyptian symbolism became incredibly popular for many people in America as well as Europe in the 17th, 18th, 19th centuries. Tell your house cleaning lady I say hello back. I hope that she's doing well. Tell her that if you're causing trouble or keeping your place too dirty, she can hit you over the head with something, and I support it. Nobody else should do that, just my cleaning lady and my dad. Yeah, you have to be, everything that you see online, you should take with a grain of salt. Um, Even what I say, but there are people online who'll tell you, for example, the dollar bill has a Masonic symbol. They are incorrect. Sorry, the dollar bill has a Masonic symbol. They are incorrect. So you need to be very careful about making sure you take whatever's said with a grain of salt. Um, I have a Canadian accent, I suppose. I was born in Winnipeg, live in Windsor. So a boot, there's a moose in the hoose, and it's a boot. Tan Tran, thank you for being here. Glorious, you should give a super chat in honor of my accent. And Tan Tran, welcome. Thank you for being here. We have got 7 votes. Do you read any Masonic literature or other written works about Freemasonry? Yes at 71%, no at 29%. Hopefully, we'll get that number. We'll get the yes up and the no down after today's stream and my announcements. I don't see. I would change that a little bit, Chili D's. One cannot know a thing until they follow a way. I don't believe there's such a thing as the way. I think everybody needs to determine for themselves the best way to proceed. the best way to move forward in their lives. I don't think there's a single way to do it. Hello, Apple Tree. How's it going? Thank you for being here. I hope that you are doing well. Um, I hope you didn't fall too far from the apple tree, or I hope your apple did not fall too far from your tree. I'm doing well, Apple Tree. Got a big announcement coming up in half an hour. How are you doing? I hope that you're doing well. Anything new and exciting in the life of Apple Tree? If so, I'd love to hear it. Is that a good thing or a not so good thing? See, I don't know. When you say my life is always exciting, that can mean a couple different things. But I hope that exciting in a good way. Put it that way. What's the old Chinese curse? May you live in exciting times. It is a good thing. Good, good. Can you tell us what you're excited about? If you don't want to share, of course, I completely understand. No worries at all. But if there is something you want to, let me know, let us know about. I want to make sure I support everybody on my stream who's having any type of success. So good for you. And please, as always, make sure if you're just joining us, you hit the like button and hit the subscribe button. It would be much, much appreciated. I love action, moving, talking, researching. Okay, about Freemasonry, or what type of stuff do you enjoy researching? Oh my gosh. 6.5 mm. Z, thoughts are with you. You just made me clench up a little bit. So, as I snort, oh, everybody send some hearts to Z. He's basically having a baby. A very painful, ugly baby, but nonetheless, Z, oof. My thoughts are with you. Kimari, why can't women join? Well, so that's an interesting question, and it's not quite accurate. I always talk about this, so thank you so much for the question. There is a fraternal side to Freemasonry. I'm part of the fraternal side, right? However, there does exist also within Freemasonry the Order of Women Freemasons, which is a exclusively female Masonic order. There's also Eastern Star, which is available for men and women. And then there's the Rainbow, which is the International Youth Order for women, for girls, ages 11 to 21, if I recall correctly. So women can join. I view women and Order of Women Freemasons, as does UGLE. The reason that you have the separation between the fraternal order and the female side and Eastern Star, really it's traditional. And I do think there needs to be a place historically and presently for men to gather and basically create a formalized boys' night out. I think you need that, right? It's no different than a guy who says once a week, once a month, he goes out with his male friends exclusively, has a guys' night out, right? Those are important. Just as important to have girls' nights out as well. And Freemasonry combines the need for that with historical, esoteric teachings, charitable endeavors. It directs those. It directs the need for a guys' night out to things beyond just a guys' night out, but to things that help make the community a better place. And tradition is important, and tradition matters. So there you go. Funka Puppet. 300 subs. That's awesome. Congratulations, Funka. Please hit the like and subscribe button to Funka Puppet. Also, please give some hearts. That's wonderful. Um, no Eastern Star in Switzerland. Okay. It's not everywhere, but it is Canada, USA, I believe in England. Um, yes, Z, go to the specialist. But I mean, I'm glad at least the pain is over, but I can only imagine that would suck very much. Um, okay, no worries, Powerpuff. Come back when you get the chance, but thank you for being here. Then go take a shower. Yes, that's the right attitude, Funka Puppet. Now you're on the road to 400 and then to 500 and then who knows where it goes. Awesome, Chili D's. I believe it. I mean, once you start kind of developing your YouTube channel, people will find it. Sometimes it's a matter of just time, right? Very often, when you think about it like from a stone and masonry, right? A drop of water on a stone will shape, a single drop repeated for a million years is going to shape that stone over time, as sure as a chisel will, right? So there's different ways to do it, but sometimes it's just about brute force, time, and waiting it out. Um, Fair enough, Funka Puppet. I do collect books. I usually donate all the books I have to the Masonic Lodge so others can enjoy them after I read them. But yeah, I do. I hope that you will. Um, I hope that perhaps what you may consider doing, Rainy Girl, is after you've read it, maybe donate it to your local Masonic Lodge so other people can check it out as well. Oh, it's Pennywise, now called Funka. Okay, do you believe smart people invented things like the net? I'm not sure what you mean by that, Apple Tree. I mean, I believe smart people invent things. Um, it's human. The smarter you are, the more I think likely you are to be able to invent certain things. Well, then, Funka Puppet, I hope that you will um, subscribe on both of your accounts. Very, very much appreciate it. People are weird. Um, I do believe people exist. Definitely not super smart people. But well, I mean, I believe smart people exist. I believe super smart people exist. I like to believe everybody is smart in their own way, though, right? It's the old Einstein quote. If you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, the fish is going to think it has no abilities, right? I think everybody has intelligence in different ways. And I think one of our responsibilities, even within Freemasonry, is to determine the type of skills and abilities each individual member has, and then figure out how we can direct those skills and abilities to creating a successful Masonic Lodge experience. Um, of course, we did that, Apple Tree. We did that. There was actually a Mason on that rocket ship, Buzz Aldrin. So yes, I mean, if you're asking if I think the moon landing happened, I absolutely believe it did, and it does, or it can still happen. I know it's been a while since we've returned to the moon. I'd like to see us return to the moon. I'd like to see us return, get to Mars. Would be even cooler. I would go to Mars. I just hope that if we do ever make it to Mars, there's at least one Freemason on that ship, and we can set up a Masonic Lodge on Mars, just like Tranquility Lodge on the moon. I didn't study Tesla, but he was very smart. Pastor, to be one, ask one. You need to find a local lodge in your area and ask them about joining. I'm about to sneeze. Phew. Excuse me. I'm going to sneeze one more time. No. Mr. Keeps, you will get the news in 20 minutes. We did go back to the moon. We went back to the moon, I think, 12 times. Let me double check on Google. Six times from 1969 to 1972. Back from Funka Puppet. All right, so you've got your two accounts. I've got multiple accounts as well. This one where I focus on Freemasonry. I have my personal account where I focus on other things I enjoy. Which, by the way, I will be doing a Good Witch Marathon watch along on the 19th and the 20th. I'm not going to be doing a YouTube, I'm not going to be doing a live show on this channel for those 2 days because I do want to try to keep up my personal channel as much as I can. Yes, we did go back 6 times. Well, don't do that, Pastor Sempa. That's not a cool thing to do. Don't pretend to be a Freemason. Either be a Freemason or don't be. But don't pretend to be one. That is not cool. All is well, that taco guy. I hope you're doing well also. As you can see, I now have my super chats set up. So if you get the chance, I hope you'll consider giving me a super chat of even just $1. Would be very kind of you. Can you read my comment? Which comment? I don't know what he means by something. He could just mean the universe, or he could just mean kind of his own knowledge. Well, it's not funny, Pastor Sempa, so don't be doing that. Can you tell Nightmare on Elm Street tonight? I love Nightmare on Elm Street. I love all the nightmares, but especially 4 and 5. But the OG is pretty great. I assume you mean Rainy Girl on AMC. Can you tell us about the initiation? What I can tell you is everything that I'm always begging, Mr. Keeps. I'm always be begging. Everything that you do when you go through the initiation has a meaning and has a purpose behind it and is meant to impart a lesson. And you should, as much as you can, try to pay attention. However, no matter how hard you try to pay attention, you are always going to miss some things, and that's okay. That is part of the process. Is you're always learning something new. You're always reevaluating what you've learned. Beyond that, though, if you want to learn about the initiation, talk to a Mason about joining. Maybe, maybe not. Sorry, Rainy Girl, cannot answer that question. However, what I will say is whatever happens, so A, I've never felt scared, concerned, in danger. Never felt anything was against my civic, religious, family or professional obligations. And everything that happens has a purpose behind it. Well, Kamari, you can join the Order of Women Freemasons or Eastern Star, and you can learn those things that way. And if there is no Order of Women Freemasons or Eastern Star in your area, then unfortunately, yes, but you should be able to find those orders. What was your question from a couple of days ago, Trevor? Forgive me for forgetting it. But there's a lot on my plate at the moment, a lot of good things, but I don't remember things from yesterday, let alone 2 days ago. What was my first days of Freemason like? That's an interesting question. I mean, my first day would have been my initiation. So when what I remember about it is just feeling really proud to be part of Freemasonry and feeling like I had joined something that could potentially make the world a better place. My first day as a Freemason was the next day, and I just had to go to school, and it was a normal day, right? It's not as though I joined Freemasonry and the next day everything changed. I still had to go to work or go to school. I still had to do all my normal responsibilities. But certainly I had the feeling like I'm now part of something that matters to me, that I like, that I enjoy. I suppose the best way to think about it would be like, what is the next day after you've heard your favorite song for the first time? You're still the same person, you still have the same responsibilities, but now there's something in your life that you've learned of that you love, that you didn't have the day before. Well, this is, I mean, I guess you could call me a zesty Mason if you want. I don't quite know what that means. This is about Freemasonry. LGBTQ are welcome on my channel, as are anybody else. But it's about Freemasonry in general. We do not hold secret dark knowledge. We hold private modes of recognition and private rituals, but I would not describe it as dark. And the extent to which it's knowledge, it really applies exclusively to Freemasonry. We don't, for example, know about any hidden mysteries that impact world governance, despite what some people think. Um, William Morgan. I can speak on William Morgan. By the way, Willie, I'm going to call you Willie. Welcome. Thank you for being here. Please hit like and subscribe. What do you want to know about William Morgan? By the way, there's no evidence that he was unalived. I'm going to try to keep the algorithm happy. Unalived by Freemasons. You know, he went out on a boat on a lake and never returned. And so my suspicion is actually it was Freemasons who did it, because there are stupid Freemasons in every age. There are stupid people in every age, and I think they took things a bit too seriously. But there's no way to know for sure. It's also possible because he was a debtor, right? William Morgan was heavily in debt to a lot of different people. It's possible he was unalived as a way to punish him for not paying back his debts, or that he simply fled from New York, if I recall correctly, New York to Canada, as a way to escape the debts that he owed. So that's my opinion on that, Trevor. Kill Kimari. Why can't the public know the secrets? So, Kimari, let me ask you a question. Would you share with me share in the chat your bank information or your social insurance number and information? And please don't, by the way. But I'm asking you, would you be willing to do that? Or would you want to keep them a secret? Kimari says no. So the reason I say that, right, is because there are many different reasons to keep secrets or to keep things private that are not nefarious. One of the reasons, and this doesn't apply to Freemasonry, but one of the reasons in the case of Kimari is for financial security and, protection, right? It's not nefarious to keep those things private. It's necessary for your financial safety. Freemasonry, it's a different reason, but it's still just as valuable, Kamari, right? Within Freemasonry, imagine your family has a family recipe. It gets passed down from your grandparents to your parents to you. You're going to pass it down to your kids. You're going to keep that family recipe private within the family. It's not going to be because there's anything nefarious about the recipe or anything concerning. Rather, it's because keeping it within the family helps maintain the bonds of familiarity between all the different generations of your family, past, present, and future. It's something that gets passed down to maintain those bonds. Within Freemasonry, it's the same thing, right? Because I know the private nature of the ceremonies, because Masons around the world know the same thing, I feel connected to my brethren. I feel connected to the brethren who came before me and after me. That's what we have to pass down, right? We have rings and whatever, but that stuff doesn't matter. It's the ceremonies and the rituals. That's what we pass down from generation to generation. If I start to share that in public, it dilutes the relationships we have. So I hope that makes sense, Kamari. Let me know if it did. We do not sacrifice apple tree. I've been a Freemason since 2007. I've been to over 1,000 Masonic events around the world. Never seen a sacrifice of any sort, unless you want to count sacrificing time, which I do sacrifice a lot of my time. Colonel Sanders, to my knowledge, Colonel Sanders was a Freemason. I believe he was. I know for sure Dave Thomas was from Wendy's. I don't know if I believe Colonel Sanders was. Like I said, I'm 99% sure. Special announcement coming up in 10 minutes. Well, then don't be a fraud, Pastor Sampa. However, I think I may have to nice. Do that, EA. Those are that's an awesome movie. Well, I don't my point is I'm not saying I know for sure what happened to him, right? That's the point. He nobody's ever found his body. The belief is it was lost in the New York River, if I recall correctly. So he was on a boat at some point. But nobody knows for sure what happened to him, is the point. And his body was, to my understanding, never found. Oh, the whole argument, Apple Tree, of true Freemasonry versus false Freemasonry. There is clandestine Freemasonry, which is kind of false Freemasonry. However, in my experience, most people are part of true Freemasonry. And if they say they've never seen anything nefarious, then people say they're part of the false Freemasonry. There is no inner circle. There is no true versus false. That stuff is all kind of conspiracy laden. How was it, by the way, Dad? Zen, my day is going very well. Zen X set. I hope that your day is going well also. How was the passing of the two brethren? We have a double fellowcraft degree coming up on Friday, so it should be really good. William Morgan, you can look him up. He was a Mason out of, if I recall correctly, New York. It's called the William Morgan Affair. Okay. If anybody can hear that, we have got a fire alarm happening. Oh, and now it's over. That was a fire alarm. I don't think they're testing them today. Give a super chat and honor the fire alarm. Okay, I think we're okay. Very sorry for anybody. Well, no, they never found his body, Rainy Girl, right? Yes, he was from New York. Like I said, he was from New York. He said he was going to announce the secrets of Freemasonry in a book. He disappeared. It was called Freemasonry Exposed. Right. There's a lot of conflicting accounts of what happened. He was on a boat in the Niagara River. They say he was thrown overboard is the guess. But again, we don't actually know for sure what happened to him. I think it's very possible that Freemasons, because they were threatening him, because they were very pissed off at him, did unalive him. But I also think it's possible that his debtors caught up with him. And I also think it's possible he just escaped to Canada. I have no idea, Rainy Girl. I'm not sure to what you're referring. By the way, 5 minutes, my special announcement. So just 5 more minutes. Apple Tree, Kamari, anybody who, I think you all have, but anybody watching this who is not subscribed, please hit the like button. Please hit the subscribe button. Do us a super chat, etc., etc. And I have very exciting, like I said, 5 minutes to go. Then you get your special announcement. If the fire alarm goes off again, I'll be fine. I will, burn to death while doing this stream. That's how much I care about you guys. It has to do with my poll question, though. So, my announcement. So keep that in mind. And thank you to everybody who's joined. We had 16 people watching. We got 10 likes, so we can get 6 more likes as well. It does not. I mean, Rainy Girl, our meetings would be a lot more interesting, I suppose. But I check my alarm, Apple Tree. I check my alarm every month, as one should, not just for my safety, but for the safety of everybody else in my building. Um, it's one of the I think when we talk about why we need to take care of ourselves, take care of our buildings, take care of our like I think there's a lesson in Freemasonry in the sense that caring for ourselves is also in some ways caring for other people, right? Checking my smoke detector is not just about me and my safety, because my suspicion is I could escape my building if there was a fire and be okay, but it's about making sure that everybody else gets adequate warning as well and can make it out of the building alive. Evening, Dylan. I mean, I'm an a-hole, but that's me personally. Um, I don't know what collectivist means precisely, but I do think I'm a collectivist in a sense. I believe that every individual has a responsibility to think about and care for the world around them and the people around them. I think that's our responsibility. Um, I don't think that's exclusively a Masonic idea, but I do think that Freemasonry reminds us of that responsibility. Um, right? I've always believed that, even when it comes to things like exercise, I think people should exercise and care for their health. The reason for that is not exclusively for my own health and well-being. In fact, it's not even primarily the reason. It's because if I maintain my health, then hopefully I can better serve the community, and I'm less likely to require assistance or medical interventions, which then preserves those resources for others. Uh, I'd rather be a collectivist a-hole than an individualist a-hole, put it that way. Um, 15 votes, 60 to 40. All right. So we got another, let's say, few minutes. I think about what, 3 minutes? Then the special announcement. So, and that taco guy, I'm sure you're not. But if you really want to not be an a-hole, then you should do a super chat. We're going to end this poll now. We're going to give it a few more minutes. Like I said, 2 more minutes, then my announcement. And I'll leave the website addresses that relate to this announcement in the chat. I've not made this announcement anywhere yet. This will be my first time making it. I wanted to wait until I had my live stream in order to announce it as a way to say thank you to my audience. But Dylan, how is it going with you? I hope you're doing well. Thank you for being here. And I hope that you're doing well. Please, as always, hit that like button. "58 minutes, 38 seconds, so 2 minutes to go. 1 minute, 18 seconds. And Trevor, you seem a little bit more angry today than normal. What is going on with this anger towards Freemasonry, it feels like? What's happening here? Not that you can be angry, by the way. It's perfectly fine. Or maybe I'm reading too much into your tone of typing, if that's the right term. Dun, dun, dun. All right. 30 seconds. I know I'm holding off, but I do want to wait because it did say 2 p.m. Um, oh my gosh. We got a lot of people jumping in all at once. I love horror movies, Apple Tree. I am not, John G. I am not. If you want to assist me, you can do so by doing a super chat. That's the way to do it, John G. Give me a super chat. That's all the assistance I need. I think Masons read a lot. I hope we do. We should. I mean, we're called upon to make a daily advancement in Masonic knowledge. Um, uh, it's sponsored by Mr. Keeps right now, who gave a super chat, John G. Um, Chat was lagging. It was, but it all popped up all at once. Hello, Kishore Kumar. Welcome back. Um, I did not watch The Crown Jewel this weekend, but everybody's here now. I can make my announcement. All right, because it's 1 p.m. or 2 p.m., excuse me. 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All right. On February 17th, 2025, I published a story in Medium called It's More Than a Game. The purpose of the story was to consider ways that Freemasonry can increase membership engagement or increase engagement amongst its membership. I have no legs, John G. I can't work on an oil rig. I guess I could, but I'm very lazy. On a couple weeks ago now, I received confirmation that my story, It's More Than a Game, is a finalist in the Arcana Veritas Distinction Awards 2025. And you can find the information about Arcana here. Yes, no legs. I put the announcement in there. Right, I'll first give you guys the information about the awards. The Arcana Veritas Distinction Awards is established to commemorate and celebrate outstanding contributions to Masonic literature. The award is dedicated to writers and authors who have demonstrated exceptional skill and insight into exploring Masonic subjects relating to history, symbolism, degrees, rituals, or other subjects within Masonic teachings. The Arcana Veritas Distinction Awards seeks to honor those whose work has not only enriched the Masonic community, but has also contributed to a deeper understanding of the principles and traditions that define Freemasonry. The criteria for the award includes evaluating research, clarity, and an ability to contribute to further promoting Masonic knowledge and discourse within the fraternity. The awards, Arcana Veritas, or AVDA, encourages submissions from a diverse range of perspectives, welcoming contributions that shed light on different aspects of Masonic philosophy and practice. As we embark on this journey to recognize outstanding literary achievements in our fraternity, we invite Masonic writers and authors to submit their work for consideration. So I submitted my work and received news that I was selected as a finalist under the white paper category. You can find the information about that here. Arcana Veritas prize winners. I'm going to read out my paper in a second, Apple Tree, but you can absolutely check out the paper. The way I would find it personally is go to that link or go to Square and Compass. It's more than a game. The award ceremony actually takes place in Edinburgh, Scotland. Unfortunately, it's a bit too expensive for me to go there at this time, so I won't be able to be there in person, but I am eligible to win the award. It's not cheap to fly to Scotland. However, there are 3 finalists. Cameron Adamson, It's More Than a Game. That's mine. Marshall J. Kern, he wrote a biography about James Agar. And Matthew Arian Siami, From Stone to Temple, The Psychological Transformation of Identity in Freemasonry. Those are the 3 papers. Like I said, I got my picture there. Actually, the picture was taken when I was visiting the Grand Lodge of Manitoba. Colonizer 420, I don't want to jump into a volcano. And John G., You should feel bad for trolling whether I have no legs or not. Just don't be a troll, I think is better. I've got no money from that work. If I did, I could, fly there probably. The awards ceremony takes place at the Grand Lodge of Scotland in Edinburgh. Scheduled to take place Wednesday, November 26th, 2025, at the Grand Committee of the Grand Lodge of Ancient, Free, and Accepted Masons of Scotland in Edinburgh. So first of all, I hope that you guys will go into Google, type in "It's More Than a Game," Square and Compass Promotions, Medium. You should find the story. I'll do it one more time. It's More Than a Game. Edinburgh. Medium, Square, and Compass. Basically, copy and paste that, put it into Google. You'll find the story. Follow me on Medium as well. And yeah, I'm honored to have been found as a finalist in the Arcana Awards. I encourage you guys to check out arcanaveritas.com/home. And I hope that you guys will read the story. And I'm greatly, greatly honored to be selected as a finalist. I'm going to be announcing this now on all of my social media channels. I'm going to be announcing this on the Medium channel as well. But let me just post this again. According to Medium, it is a 16-minute read. Honestly, I'm going to be reading it myself here in a couple minutes. I'm sure that's true, colonizer, but I'm very lazy, and I'm incredibly lazy, and I don't want to have to climb a volcano. I like to sleep. That's all I want to do. And you people keep making me do work and telling me to go check out active volcanoes. What am I, crazy? But it's a 16-minute read altogether. You can follow me there, and you can, well, if you carry me, then I might be more willing to do so, and more willing to consider doing so. But you need to keep in mind, I'm also very lazy. So I don't want to do any work if I can help it. Just please keep that in mind. However, maybe, I would love to visit. It was Iceland, right? I would love to visit Iceland. I think it would be incredible visit. Let's give it a couple minutes. I want to wait to see who else jumps on. And then I'm going to start reading It's More Than a Game. But again, I'm very honored to be a Arcana Veritas Distinction finalist. Again, the Distinction Awards are established to commemorate and celebrate outstanding contributions to Masonic literature, dedicated to writers and authors who demonstrated exceptional skill and insight in exploring Masonic subjects relating to history, degrees, symbolism, rituals, and other subjects within Masonic teachings. It seeks to honor those whose work has not only enriched the Masonic community, but has also contributed to a deeper understanding of the principles and traditions that define Freemasonry. Criteria for the award includes evaluating research, clarity, and the ability to contribute to further promoting Masonic knowledge and discourse within the fraternity. So an absolute honor to be considered for this award. Let's give it another 5 minutes because the numbers have dropped a little bit, and then I will read the story. But it's a 16-minute story altogether. And to everybody still watching this, please don't forget, you can give us a super chat. Heck, if I get enough super chats, maybe I'll go to Scotland. Who knows? And follow me on Medium also. That would be much appreciated. We got some hearts. I'm guessing that's Smokey. Thank you, Smokey, for being here. Oh, my chat is lagging a little bit. English and I guess German, Dutch. Trevor, my dad's from England. I think my grandparents were from, or my grandparents' parents were from the kind of Dutch German area. My mom was born in Canada. Um, no worries, colonizer. Thank you for stopping by. Matthew says you look LGBTQ. What would be wrong with looking like that? Um, where do I book you? I do not know what that means, but if you want to get in touch with me, Apple Tree, info@scoreandcompass.ca. And I agree, it is very cool, Joel Cox, and I'm very honored. What about Toronto Blue Jays? My mom used to love, I mean, she's passed away, but she loved the Toronto Blue Jays. She would watch it all the time. We got Smokey in, and welcome your local Spurs fan. Daniela Gonzalez, hello, how's it going? Thank you for being here. I hope you're doing well. I hope, as always, you'll hit the like and subscribe buttons to everybody who's joining us, especially for the first time. What is new? What is happening? Oops. What's wrong with being LGBTQ? Oh, no, we got the stream. Good. Um, I am, it's funny, Trevor. I used to always answer that question and tell people whether I was or I wasn't. However, what I found is for some reason, certain people on streams like to use the, I guess, even accusation or statement that you're LGBTQ as a troll or as an insult. So now I don't answer that question. And people can decide for themselves whether they think I'm LGBTQ or not. Um, oh my gosh, Daniela, that's a question and a half. And that's a kind of a political question and a religious question, right? We in Freemasonry, we don't discuss political or religious matters in lodge. This is not within lodge. So what I can say is, and as a general rule, I'm fine with it, with churches not paying taxes. However, I think you need to be very careful. If churches start to engage in practices that seem more business oriented or politically oriented and not religious, then I think they should be taxed. But you have to be very careful how you apply that. It gets tricky, it gets tricky. I can say Freemasonry is not a religion, so oftentimes it is considered a nonprofit, or aspects of it are considered nonprofit. It just depends on the kind of the tax structures of the jurisdiction. Um, I don't hate Trump with a passion. I'm not a fan of Donald Trump. I'd rather he not be the president, but that's a whole different things. Um, are you, again, I'm not going to say Mr. Keeps because I used to always tell people, but then unfortunately, I don't know why it's a YouTube thing, but many streams people will um, use accusations of being LGBTQ as a troll, which I'm not comfortable with because I know many LGBTQ people, including LGBTQ Masons, and I'm not a fan of people using that as accusations or slanders or whatever it is. So now I just say I'm not going to say. Um, well, I mean, you can pick whatever term you want to use. Biden, well, Biden's my favorite recent president. My favorite president of all time would either be LBJ or George Washington. But within my lifetime, Biden's my favorite president. Um, yes, within my lifetime, at least since I've been paying attention to American politics. Everybody has their own different favorite president. I suspect Trevor with three R's may be a fan of um, Donald Trump, which hey, everybody gets their favorites. I didn't mind Obama. My issue with Obama was I think he campaigned on more than he delivered, and the result of that was disillusionment. And that disillusionment, I think, in some ways led to Donald Trump. Um, So I think that knocked him down a few points for me. Um, he couldn't give a good speech. I mean, he gave good speeches, I thought, at times. I thought his State of the Union was decent, but he definitely was not the best at making speeches. But he did accomplish a lot. And I think he accomplished a lot during a time of great political difficulty within the political difficulty, polarization, January 6th coming the heels of that. I think all that stuff needs to be taken into account when you're grading him. So honestly, Joel, I've been really impressed lately. I don't know if you saw them, but Hunter Biden gave a couple of interviews to Channel 5. I can't think of the name of the documentary filmmaker now. He did Dear Allen, I think was the name of the film. Anyways, he did a couple of interviews recently that were really, really good. So I would check out those interviews. I thought they were very good. Um, well, Trevor, you and I clearly have some disagreements on that one, but fair enough. Everybody gets to have an opinion. Um, I'm not going to kick you off the stream or nothing. Um, Biden was a great politician, bad president. I mean, I would. There's some truth to that in the sense that he was probably a better politician than he was a president, but politics can be policy. Daniela, it's already affecting religions, Daniela, because some people have started to worship artificial intelligence. I've actually met somebody who has begun to worship artificial intelligence, which I find very frightening. Not AI itself, but the way people are interacting with it and worshiping it. Having said that, I'm always going to be more pro technology than anti technology. I think technology has been a net positive for humanity. And so I think the advancement of technology will almost always be a net positive as well. And even if I was more negative about it, it wouldn't make a difference because it's coming whether we want it or not. I don't see an ability to stop AI. So I think we should be accepting of it and try to find the positives therein. But I suspect you will see a greater number of, you will see new religions forming based on artificial intelligence. And I guess we're going to have to see how it goes. That is true. All political figures do have agendas. Um, I try not to be cynical about things. I try, as a general rule, to have more positive views on Freemasonry. Sorry, on politics, on Freemasonry, on religions, on and like whatever it is, entertainment, AI. I think cynicism is unfortunately far too easy of a trap to fall into. Um, and I think cynicism doesn't lead anywhere good. Rondo, welcome back. I think Rondo that you used to. I don't. I think this might be the first time you've been on stream since I got the super chat option available. If you want to do a super chat, give a super chat for $1. It'd be much appreciated, and I'm trying to encourage more people to do the super chat thing. So, well, Trevor, you're not wrong. Canada to America, it's a bit of a one-way mirror. For better or worse, I think we in Canada know far more about American politics than Americans know about Canadian politics. But a big reason for that is America is just much more influential, right? When America sneezes, Canada catches a cold, is the old kind of statement that's been said many times. And that's in true for not just Canada, right? When America sneezes, the world catches a cold, is very often the case. So unfortunately, we kind of have to be more aware of the political situation in the States, I think. Even from a Masonic perspective, right? The shutdown, which I've been talking about, um, it's going to affect Freemasonry. So you need to pay attention to political situations around the world, but especially in those countries that have the greatest impact on the world economy and the world political situation. I wouldn't say that, Trevor. That's um, there's a back and forth. I mean, a lot of in New York, for example, a lot of your electricity comes from Ontario. A lot of your lumber, a lot of your oil. Canada could cause some damage to the United States economy if it so chose, which I hope it doesn't, but it's not quite as easy as you think. So again, Dad, if you type into Google, um, or if you copy and paste this, Arcana Veritas Prize finalists, basically, or if you go Arcana Veritas finalists into Google, you should um, you should be able to find the other finalists. I'm going to read out the my submission in a second, but the other finalists were, and I'll type that into the chat as well. We do have barbecue parties. It depends on the lodge and what the lodge wants to do. Each lodge will decide for itself, but many have barbecue parties, many have Christmas parties, many have Halloween parties. All right, Apple Tree. I will read from it now because he has to go soon. It's Marshall J. Kern, James Biography, Matthew Arian Siam, From Stone to Temple, The Psychological Transformation and Identity of Freemasonry. All right, so let me start reading. It's more than a game, but don't forget, Apple Tree, you can follow me on Medium as well, and I hope that you will. Square and Compass Promotions on Medium. And this is a 16-minute read. You have to find co-Freemasonry in your area. So most systems are function focused. This is me reading from it. And designed to get the job done quickly. This is like a factory that assumes that the workers within will do their jobs. However, human-focused design remembers that people in the system have feelings, insecurities, and reasons why they want or do not want to do things, and therefore optimizes their feelings, motivations, and engagement. Games have the amazing ability to keep people engaged for a long time, build relationships and trust between people, and develop their creative potential. A common challenge amongst Masonic lodges and bodies is the ability to maintain engagement amongst its membership. This challenge is reflected amongst all membership levels, from its newest entered apprentices to past masters. Some will point out Masonic retention rates, how many members retain their membership and for how long, as being very high. However, in this author's opinion, retention is not and should not be the primary Masonic concern. The primary concern should be member engagement. Engagement defined as how often a member communicates with his Masonic lodge or otherwise attends Masonic events, including but not limited to regular meetings or degrees. This author defines an engaged member as a member who attends a minimum of 2 Masonic meetings per year. In this author's personal and anecdotal experiences, pursuant to the above definition, over 50% of North American members are not engaged. Otherwise meaning over 50% of North American members do not attend at least 2 Masonic meetings per year. How can Freemasonry increase member engagement? One possible answer, gamification. And what is the definition? Gamification is the application of typical elements of game playing, e.g., point scoring, competition with others, rules of play, to other areas of activity, typically as an online marketing technique, to encourage user engagement with a product or service. Emphasis added. From the above, other areas of activity can be considered Freemasonry. Users can be considered members, and a product or service can also be considered Masonic meetings or activities. Is it possible to gamify member engagement? Is it possible to apply the typical elements of game playing to Freemasonry, thereby encouraging engagement with Masonic meetings or activities? My answer is yes. And that yes is based on Yu Kai Chow's Octalysis framework. Every Freemason concerned with considering how to increase member engagement needs to check out this framework, which describes the 8 core motivations or drives by which or through which people engage in activities. By exploring these 8 drives and the categories in which each drive resides, Freemasons will get a better understanding of the motivations which both encourage and discourage member engagement, and potentially how to renew engagement amongst discouraged membership. What is the desired behavior? Increased Masonic membership. Which core drives will motivate desired behavior? We're going to discuss that below. Right, author's note, it is important to note that these same questions and drives couple apply to Masonic attempts to increase applications and membership also. Oops, I misspelled something there. Yes, Joel Cox, not exclusively. It's not just video games, but yes. One of the things about video games, right, is they're designed to keep people playing for longer and longer, to keep people engaged. They don't want it to be one of those things where, you play the game once for an hour, you never come back again. What is it about a video game that keeps people playing regularly, that keeps people turning on the game? And can we in Freemasonry apply those same things? It's not even a reward system per se, it's a motivation system. Core Drive 1. However, in this author's opinion, the main challenge facing Freemasonry is not reduced membership, but rather reduced engagement amongst the current membership. Core Drive 1, Epic Meaning and Calling. So these are the 8 ways that people can be engaged within Freemasonry or engaged within life. The motivations that encourage people to do anything. And the motivations that will encourage people, or the drives that will encourage people to attend Masonic lodges. Core Drive 1, Epic Meaning and Calling. This is a drive based on a user believing that he or she is part of something bigger than themselves. It can tie into such ideas as faith, hope, and charity. It is this author's opinion that Freemasonry can and does provide an epic meaning. In fact, the author wrote about what he views as the true Masonic calling in a previous story. The Masonic calling is the call to fight for a better world. The epic meaning of Freemasonry is the epic struggle to build the world into a better place through the practice of brotherly love, relief, and truth. If a user feels that engagement in an activity is contributing to something larger than himself or herself, that user is more likely to remain engaged. Well, thank you, Hayden Young. Please do a super chat. How many members feel that engagement in Freemasonry contributes to something larger than themselves? How many members feel that Freemasonry has a meaning, epic or otherwise, or calling? If they do feel that Freemasonry has a meaning or calling, could they express that meaning or calling to others or even themselves? If they cannot express the meaning or calling behind Freemasonry, is that the fault of their Masonic lodge and sponsors in failing to either explain through words or express through actions the meaning or calling behind Freemasonry? How many members join Freemasonry out of a belief that they will find an epic meaning or calling therein, to then become disappointed, disillusioned, and subsequently to disengage in the craft? It is truly the responsibility of a Masonic lodge to remind its membership of both the administrative and membership duties required to maintain a Masonic lodge, and why maintaining a Masonic lodge is something bigger than oneself that is deserving of being maintained. This reminding could include in-lodge discussions of Masonic charitable efforts, the health benefits of being a Freemason, reaching out to isolated members and returning them to the Masonic lodge. The information from these discussions should also be included with a lodge summons or trestle board to ensure every member is reminded that being a Freemason can be an epic calling if that member is engaged. Core drive 2, development and accomplishment. Freemasonry has in its structure an already established system of development and accomplishment, which begins with the 3 degrees, then moves on to officer progression, then can move on to joining appendant bodies or even grand lodges. I think this is what Rhonda was talking about. In video game speak, this structure is like a progress bar that allows a member to feel like he is getting somewhere. It symbolizes a sense of accomplishment. It must symbolize a sense of accomplishment. A real danger in Freemasonry, caused by a reduction in engaged members, is allowing members to advance through the degrees or offices without being qualified. If members advance and achieve new accomplishments without qualifications, the accomplishment will feel cheap and will not create any drive to advance or otherwise engage in the Masonic experience. Core drive 3, empowerment and creativity of feedback. This drive relates to the ability for a member to make meaningful choices and otherwise feel empowered to make creative choices within an activity. Do members feel empowered to make creative decisions and try new things? Do members feel in control of their Masonic experience? Or do members, especially new members, feel that they are not empowered to make new decisions or approach Freemasonry in a creative way? If members do not feel empowered, how likely are they to engage? In the author's experience, this feeling of powerlessness is a major factor. I'm reading one of the pieces I wrote for Medium that was picked as a finalist in the Arcana finalist. Basically picked for a finalist to receive an award. In the author's experience, this feeling of powerlessness is a major factor that results in disengagement, especially amongst first-time worshipful masters. It is a well-known joke, in quotations, that the common refrain of past masters is, "That's not how we did it in my day." Sadly, it's not such a joke, hence the quotes, and many past masters will use some version of the above refrain as a way to stymie or otherwise quell a new worshipful master's ideas or plans, thereby creating a sense of animosity and frustration between the new worshipful master and the past masters, which very often results in the new worshipful master disengaging from his lodge upon completion of his term of office. This same animosity and frustrations, actually, hold on just one second. Currently reading my work. It's more than a game. Sorry, Rondo. It's actually called not major, it's called the Arcana. Arcana awards. These are awards for those who have contributed to Masonic literature in a way that helps promote the craft well-being, or engages Freemasonry. So this story in Medium, I wrote in February 2025. I submitted it to Arcana, Arcana, and it was picked as a finalist. The awards ceremony is November 26th in Edinburgh. I can't make it there, a bit too expensive for me to actually attend in person, but nonetheless, I'm grateful that I was picked as a finalist. And I'm reading the story. Was Steve Irwin... Oh, sorry about that, Rondo. I don't catch every joke all the time. I don't know if Morgan Freeman is a Freemason. I don't think he is. And Steve Irwin, he was the crocodile guy, right? I have no idea if he was or wasn't. I'm curious. Let me check. Looks like he was not. At least that's what Google is saying. I never heard he was, anyways, put it that way. I will do it afterwards. I've heard he is pastor from Blink 182. Never had it confirmed, but I heard that he was a Freemason. I will look up Major Award A Christmas Story. Or is that the joke about, what's his name? Tiny Tim or whatever it is? Or Cratchit getting like a major award and it's like half a penny or something? Um, so going back to the story, the same animosity and frustrations can occur amongst new members who join a Masonic lodge full of ideas to be then shot down by the older members who feel they have the right, by virtue of their experience, to disregard any ideas they dislike. This can result in new members disengaging from their lodge before even entering the Masonic officer lineup. Core Drive 4, Ownership and Possession. If a user invests a lot of time or energy into a product or service, that user will feel more attachment to and ownership of that product or service and therefore remain more engaged. To what extent do members feel a sense of ownership of their Masonic experience? I don't know how many famous actors are Mason's Rainy Girl. I have no idea. I can't think of any even off the top of my head, like currently, who are Masons that I know of. Members may feel as though they're investing a lot of time and energy into their Masonic experience, but if they feel that this investment is not resulting in ownership of the due to the issues discussed in Core Drive 3, how likely is this investment to continue? How likely is this engagement to continue? It's kind of like if you're given a controller to play a video game, but the video game itself, the AI makes all the decisions for you and you can't actually move the player yourself. You're holding a game console, but you're not actually able to do anything to move the character. How likely are you to continue with playing the game? You need to feel as though you're actually contributing or making decisions that have an impact on your journey, or the Masonic journey, or the journey of the lodge. Core Drive 5, Social Influence and Relatedness. Another word for the above drive is relevance. Based on the things people say and do around a user, how relevant is that particular user's experience to his larger life? If a member hears about Freemasonry and his lodge once or twice a month, that is definitely not the case, Apple Tree, to my understanding. But for the remainder of the month, that member hears nothing about Freemasonry and his lodge. How likely is that member to remain engaged? Part of this relevance is having Masonic bodies with a more visible community and virtual presence, thereby ensuring the Masonic experience remains visible and relevant to membership all the time, that the experience remains top of mind. Increased community events, the use of social media networks, promotional events are all ways to increase visibility. Welcome, Lon. Thank you for being here. This increased visibility also helps to attract new members or new applicants who are considering becoming a member. There's a danger with this drive relating to the tendency of newer members to rely on social influence or invite or otherwise bring their friends and contacts into a lodge. Usually this tendency is driven by the best of intentions. Usually Masonic lodges or bodies are more than happy to support this tendency as it results in an influx of applicants, members, and dues. But this tendency is dangerous, as the newer members doing the inviting may still be at the earliest stage of their Masonic career. They may not even fully understand what Freemasonry is or what it offers. As such, they may paint an incorrect picture of Freemasonry to the invitees, resulting in an influx of members that grow disillusioned with Freemasonry and end up disengaging or demitting from the lodge and Freemasonry altogether. It is better for a Mason to use social influence to invite others to apply for membership after he has reached a win point, such as being elected a worshipful master or after at least 5 years of Masonic engagement. Kabbalah is basically kind of let me get the exact definition of it. It's like a mystic tradition. Jewish mysticism, basically. Seeks to understand the essence of God and the relationship between the divine and the human. Core Drive 6, Scarcity or Impatient. This core drive and the motivation therein connects to Freemasonry in numerous ways. First, and obviously, the idea of guarding the West Gate. If admission into Freemasonry is too easy or open to anyone, Freemasonry itself will seem to be an unlimited resource and less likely to be valued or engaged by members. However, if Freemasonry is considered a limited or scarce resource, then engagement is far more likely. Core Drive 7, Unpredictability and Curiosity. Freemasonry, by its nature, encourages predictability and routine. It encourages, indeed, requires stability. However, Freemasonry can embrace the idea of curiosity to drive engagement. How many Masonic meetings are same old, same old? What if every Masonic meeting involves some type of education or program that varies meeting to meeting? This curiosity can be combined with the core drive of scarcity, in that the education or program which takes place at one meeting will not be repeated at the next meeting. As such, you are both encouraging member curiosity by providing unique and interesting education or programming, while also engaging the scarcity drive by limiting the opportunity for member engagement. Basically, every meeting you have a different piece of education, a different program, a different event, something that makes that meeting special. That will make Masons curious to attend the meeting, but then you don't repeat the education. It's different each meeting. So they're both curious, but they also understand they can't just wait and attend the next meeting because there's a scarcity to it, right? This drive most likely explains why Masonic special events continue to have positive member engagement, where regular business meetings experience declining member engagement. By virtue of the name, a Masonic special event implies both a reason to be curious, what will make this event special, and to set aside the time to engage. If it is special, how many opportunities will the member have to engage? By virtue of the name, a regular business meeting implies both familiarity. If it's regular, how curious should a member be? And ubiquity. If it's regular, a member can miss the first business meeting and feel comfortable there will be a second, and a third, and a fourth. Keep in mind, attempting to drive Masonic engagement through scarcity and curiosity requires a Masonic lodge or body to communicate what is happening and why members will want to engage. This communication could be in the form of a social media, summons or trestle board, or even an upcoming events board within a Masonic building. Communicate, communicate, communicate. Core Drive 8, Loss and Avoidance. This core drive also connects with the previous two core drives. The fear of missing out, such as the fear of missing out on a really special meeting, an interesting piece of education, or the chance to visit with Masonic brethren. One Masonic lodge in Arizona actually publishes its refreshment menu in its summons as a way to encourage engagement, lest the member miss out or lose a delicious menu/meal. I want to go to lodge because the food will be delicious. If I don't go, I'm going to miss out on the opportunity for delicious food. This core drive is also how Masonic jurisdiction, a Grand Lodge, will motivate or drive engagement amongst members, especially as it relates to administrative work and procedures. YouTube will sometimes pull something and just not say they've even pulled it. That can happen. This core drive is also how Masonic jurisdiction or Grand Lodge will motivate or drive engagement amongst its members, especially as it relates to administrative work or procedures. The threat of the loss of a Masonic charter, which means the loss of a Masonic lodge, extra fees, or the loss of Masonic membership all drive engagement relating to administrative work through the fear of loss or punishment. This threat can be effective, but also often results in burnout, stress, and resentment. This is especially true if Masonic membership does not understand why the administrative work and procedures are necessary. So that's the above 8 core drives, right? Those are what the motivating factors that encourage people to do anything, right? The above are the 8 core drives which drive or motivate behavior. These drives can be placed into 4 categories, each of which provides its own reasons for engagement. Sorry, Apple Tree, I can see some of your posts, but I don't think all of them are getting through. So to give an example, one more time, let's say you're having to decide whether or not you want to go out for dinner. Well, what will drive you to go out for dinner versus stay home? Hello, dog eat dog. Welcome. Core drive one, epic meaning or calling? Probably not. There's probably not an epic meaning or calling that's going to drive you to go out for dinner. Development and accomplishment? Again, maybe not. Empowerment and creative feedback. This is a big one. Is going out for dinner, you have a level of empowerment. You can choose the restaurant, you can choose what you're going to eat at the restaurant. If you go to a restaurant, but you know that the waiter is going to, pick the food for you and you don't get a say in it, that can be a different feeling. Core drive, ownership and possession. Again, you get to choose which restaurant you go to. Core drive 5, social influence and relatedness. If you're going out for dinner, are you going out to a restaurant that has a level of social influence? Going to the restaurant and putting it on social media, will that make you seem relevant, like a big star, like someone who matters? Is the restaurant have some clout, right? Like look at the French Laundry. People went to that restaurant because of its social influence. Scarcity or impatience, right? Maybe you don't have a lot of food at your place. Maybe the restaurant doesn't have a lot of reservations, or doesn't have a lot of openings. It's scarce. Core drive 7, unpredictability and curiosity. Maybe you're curious about the restaurant, how it, the type of food it has. Again, maybe there's some unpredictable quality to the restaurant in that every day it has different menu options and you want to try something different. And the last one was core drive 8, loss and avoidance. Are you driven to go out for dinner because you're concerned the restaurant may be shutting down? You can't get a reservation easily. If you can't go today when we get the chance, or you want to avoid having to make dinner and going out is easier. Mr. Keeps, the French Laundry was a famous restaurant it still is in San Francisco. It was considered the best restaurant in the world. It cost like crazy amounts, like $500, I think, for a meal there. Something crazy. You think about what is driving people to attend, right, when it costs so much. But Freemasonry is the same thing. What are the type of core drives or motivations that will encourage people to be engaged with Freemasonry? Not just to join Freemasonry, but to remain engaged within Freemasonry. I'm reading this from the story I wrote. You can see it in the pinned message. That was selected as a finalist for the Arcana Veritas Awards. I hope you'll check that out and follow me on Medium. And leave a comment even on this story. I showed you how to find it through Google. Just type in "It's More Than a Game" in Google. You can even do that with this, though, like the core drives of being part of this chat. What is it about this chat that drives you or motivates people to attend? It could be the fear of loss, like you every day we have a different topic. So you show up every day because you're concerned about missing out on a particular topic, or you're curious about Freemasonry. You feel like there's some sort of epic calling to this chat and its work with Freemasonry, right? It's the ways that people are motivated to attend or engage or take action. And video game designers will use these core drives when they are designing video games to keep people playing, to keep people turning on the game. For us in Freemasonry, how can we recognize these core drives? Well, thank you, Apple Tree. I mean, that is my goal, right? I don't ever want to be identifying a problem, but not providing any solutions. I don't think that's helpful. Well, thank you, Dad. You do have access to my Medium, so I hope that you will also take a few minutes to read this, share it with your brethren. I'm going to be sharing this on a lot of different social media sites tonight, so don't worry. You're going to be seeing a lot of it. But I hope you're doing well. Thank you for being here again. I still have more to talk about. Wes Scales, welcome. And so Lon brings up the perfect example, though, right? Lon is perfectly describing one of those core drives, curiosity. However, the danger of curiosity as a core drive is it encourages people to join Freemasonry, but then what encourages them to keep showing up to Freemasonry, right? It's not just because curiosity may get them to join, but what will keep them showing up once they've answered all their curiosity questions or their satisfaction? Once their curiosity is satisfied, what brings them back? This is just the article that's up for a major award, Rondo. My most recent article, again, if you go to Square and Compass on Medium, you'll find it. My most recent article, though, is... oh, Dad. Can't talk to you right now, Dad. I'm currently streaming. What's it called? Freemasonry and National Customer Service Week 2025. I published that October 7th. That's another core drive, Lon. Belonging, right? That's a huge core drive, wanting to be part of something. I would say that's part of the epic meaning or epic calling core drive, is to belong to something. But like I said, please follow me on Medium. Also, give a super chat. Also, etc., etc. All the things I always say. Accomplishment, etc. So I do want to go back to... So I talked about the 8 core drives, which I'm going to read one more time. I am not an electrician, ZMBI Ghost. I would electrocute myself. I have no skill in building or developing anything. Core drive 1, epic meaning and calling. Are you motivated to do something? Are you driven to do something because you feel like there's an epic meaning or calling behind it, that it matters? Development and accomplishment. Are you driven to do something because you feel like you're accomplishing something by doing it? Core drive 3, empowerment or creative feedback. Are you driven to do something because it makes you feel empowered, or you feel empowered to do something? Core drive 4, ownership and possession. Do you feel like you have an ownership of the activity? Again, if you're playing a video game, but you don't actually get to make any decisions, the artificial intelligence moves your character around for you and does the whole thing. You don't have any ownership over the game or the decisions in the game. You're not going to be driven to keep playing. Core drive 5, social influence and relatedness. Are you driven to do something because you feel like there's a social influence behind it? That it's relevant, that it's important, that, there's some type of social cachet that comes with it. Why do people spend $500 on a meal at the French Laundry? Because it demonstrates a level of influence that you have, or the restaurant itself has a level of influence. Core drive 6, scarcity and patience. Are you driven to do something because you feel like it's scarce, like you might not get the chance again, or you want something right away? Unpredictability and curiosity. Are you driven by curiosity or unpredictability? I want to go to a meeting because I don't know what will happen. I want to attend this stream because I don't know what will happen. And I want to learn about whatever the subject is. Core drive 8, loss or avoidance. I'm afraid if I don't tune into Cameron's stream, I'm going to miss something that I'd like to learn about. So those 8 categories, those 8 drives can be switched into 4 categories. Before I go on with this, though, James C. So to my knowledge, James, the Catholic Church says that if you become a Freemason, you are not allowed to take communion. Not that you're not allowed to join, but you're not allowed to take communion if you join Freemasonry. But James, we do not worship Satan. If your mom wants to come back on the stream, then she is welcome to, and I'm happy to answer any questions she may have, including discussing the idea of multiple faiths being able to join and what that means, and why it's important that Freemasonry allows that, but why that does not Why that does not mean that it's anti-Catholic. I understand, James, that people may feel that way, but I hope that she'll reconsider and at least talk to me, at least come on the stream. Again, she doesn't have to trust us guys, but I hope she'll trust me at least to provide my experiences as a Mason since 2007. Um, but again, I will say I know Freemasons and I know that they attend um, their church. So fair enough, James, but I'm still happy you're here. And James, I hope you hit the like button and the subscribe button. That would be incredibly kind of you if you did so. But let me know how you're doing and let me know if there's anything you want to talk about. Any questions you have. But so Apple Tree, let me ask you a question. Um, you say there's an issue with joining Freemasonry because of this idea of you can't worship two gods. So let's say you're called to go to court, right? And you have to attend court, and at court, you are asked to, you will take an obligation to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth. And I would assume you would take the obligation on a Holy Bible. In Canada, at least, you can also take that obligation on a Quran, on a Torah. You can take it on a holy book of your choosing. That doesn't mean by going to court you're worshiping more than one God. It means court is a civic or civil institution, and as a consequence of that, it has to be respectful of everybody's religious beliefs, right? Freemasons are the same way. We're a civic institution. We welcome men of all different faiths because we must be respectful of all different faiths. So we don't have an any God policy. Rather, every Freemason, excuse me, must come to his own understanding of what it means to be a Freemason and what it means to have a supreme being. So we have Muslim, Jewish, Christian, Wiccan, Wiccan, Indigenous, but that doesn't mean that we have a Masonic God everybody worships. Rather, every Mason comes to an understanding of their religious supreme being. What's up, entertainment? Thank you for being here. Um, I hope maybe I can do that somehow. We do have some Catholics on the stream who I think I managed to convince the positives. Honestly, I was hoping that with the new Pope, he may reconsider his views on Freemasonry because he was born in Chicago in 1955. Freemasonry was huge in America at that time, and I thought he may have more positive views of it and may reconsider the Catholic position on it. So far, no luck, though. But James, thank you. Entertainment, thank you for being here. Please hit like, please hit subscribe. I also hope you may consider giving us a super chat if you can. Even just $1 would be incredibly generous, and I'm trying to get those super chats up. Thank you for being here. And I hope everybody is doing well. So that is not correct, Apple Tree. I think you've been reading way too much Albert Pike. Freemasonry was never a religion. It started off as being evolved from stonemasonry guilds of medieval Europe. Stonemasonry and Freemasonry are different things. One evolved from the other. The latter evolved from the former. What do you mean by shape of the pyramid? I mean, pyramids are a great example of stonemasonry, of ancient stonemasonry. Something I am very proud of is what our stonemason forefathers within Freemasonry did. And I think it demonstrates the value of stonemasonry and the ingenuity of human beings. I think in some ways you could argue that human beings really are children of stone, in that it was stonemasonry and the shaping of stone that allowed our ancestors to evolve into humans, to then create permanent settlements, to then understand geometry, to then understand technology, and to continue the evolutionary process and become what we are today. Um, Well, James, the pyramid on the dollar bill. So Ben Franklin was a Freemason, and famously he was involved with the creation of the dollar bill. However, the actual dollar bill designer was not a Freemason himself. I've always taken it to mean, well, A, Egyptology was huge in the 17th, 18th, and 19th centuries. People just liked the symbolism. But the fact that it's unfinished is a symbol of the idea that a country, a people, a group, an individual is never done growing, is never done building. We are responsible for always developing ourselves to a greater and greater and greater extent. Um, what's an Augustinian? I know what a Knight of Columbus is, but I'm not sure what a Augustine is. Um, have what? Have Freemason? What? I'm not sure quite what you're referring to. Um, but again, I think the other thing is people are far too quick, unfortunately, far too quick to say, okay, well, stonemasonry existed for hundreds of thousands of years, so then Freemasonry must have existed for all that time as well, and that's just not the case. Um, I do want to go back and keep reading more of this work. Apple Tree, though, don't forget, follow me on Medium. I would truly appreciate it. Here it is. So I talked about the four core drives. Let's talk about which categories each one fits into. Category one, left brain or extrinsic. He was said to be Apple Tree, extrinsic motivation. These are drives which motivate based on reaching a reward, goal, or milestone without necessarily enjoying the activity itself. The drives that fit into this category are development and accomplishment, ownership and possession, scarcity or impatience. These drives are good for attracting people into a system or attracting members into Freemasonry, but have a difficult time maintaining consistent engagement. There exist just so many rewards or milestones a system can provide to its membership before the rewards or milestones begin to feel meaningless, unless the system then provides bigger rewards or milestones, and then bigger rewards or milestones. This is the over-justification effect and can result in burnout amongst users. Does Freemasonry rely too heavily on providing rewards and milestones to drive member engagement, as opposed to focusing on the creation of an enjoyable experience, as seen in Category 2, which is right brain or intrinsic motivation? Right? These are drives that motivate based on internal enjoyment of the activity without needing any reward or milestone. Um, well, they talk to you if you're a good person and you want to join for the right reasons. The drive that fits into this category are Core Drive 3, Empowerment and Creativity of Feedback, Core Drive 5, Social Influence and Relatedness, Core Drive 7, Unpredictability and Curiosity. This category works well to maintain engagement or keep people within the system. It's easy to design for Category 1 drive motivation by offering rewards, but results in short-term gains. It's hard to design for Category Drive 2 motivation, creating an enjoyable or rewarding experience, but results in longer-term gains. So for example, here's a really perfect example of this between Core Drive 1 and Core Drive 2. Core Drive 1, which is left brain or intrinsic motivation, that's based on a reward or a benefit. So for example, when I sign up for a free month of a streaming service, they say first month is free. That's extrinsic motivation. I'm joining because I get something. I get a free month of the streaming service. However, if the streaming service does not provide decent value, does not provide anything, enjoyable enough, or the content's not good enough, I'm going to cancel before the second month because it's not an enjoyable experience without the reward of the free time, right? So the core drive one, sorry, the factor one, the reward, the benefit, the discount, the whatever it is, that gets me to try out the service. But if it's not an enjoyable experience without the reward, it's not going to keep me. Does that make any sense? I hope it does. Um, Honestly, Mr. Keeps, I don't know because you would have to decide that for yourself. What I would say is my suspicions would be either Core Drive 1, Epic Meaning and Calling. You believe that this stream has some type of value. If you want to use the term epochal or epic value, you can. Epic value, epic meaning. There's something about this stream that matters, that's important, and because of that, you would want to support it, right? Development and accomplishment. By giving a super chat, you get, it's announced in the stream. You get it not just gets announced in the stream, but it gets highlighted. You're highlighted. There are tiers. The more you super chat, the more you're mentioned. You may feel like that's an accomplishment, getting mentioned in the stream. That's the same reason why YouTube, for example, you see the number 1 next to your name with the crown. The number 3, that's YouTube gamifying the chat function by giving you the core drive of development and accomplishment, saying like, here's a little badge that demonstrates what you've accomplished by being the number 1 fan, number 1 regular viewer in the stream. So that's gamification of the stream here. I would also say probably loss and avoidance, in the sense that you don't want to see the stream go away. You don't want to lose the stream. And by supporting it financially, it's possible that it will stick around. However, you may have different motivations to donate as well. But that would be the drive, right? You're not wrong, Apple Tree. The fact that you are giving me your time, and everybody giving me your time, is incredibly valuable and much appreciated. And I'm thankful for that as well as I'm thankful for everybody who hits a like button, hits a subscribe button, shares the stream, is a patron, etc., right? There's a million ways to look at that. And now Mr. Keeps with the $5 and with the noob. There's a million ways to support me, and I'm beyond grateful for it. You're not wrong, right? And even with the chat, right? The fact that Apple Tree, you have the number 2 with the crown. Again, that's gamifying the chat. And you can see the progress bar there as well. So I think those are the reasons to have the core drive. But I'd also love to know what your thoughts are. I like potato casserole. As Rondo says, you're a winner. So category 3, white hat or top. These are drives that rely on a user being in control of the situation, such as someone who exercises because he or she wants to be in shape. No one is forcing the user to exercise. Shrimp is delicious, Lon. Shrimp is so good. No one is forcing the user to exercise. Rather, the decision is being driven internally and with no threat of loss or force. The drives that fit into this category are Core Drive 1, Epic Meaning, Core Drive 2, Accomplishment and Development, Core Drive 3, Empowerment and Creativity of Feedback. Member engagement driven by this category looks like a member visiting his lodge because he or she, that's pretty funny, Mr. Keeps, but that's very good. You are first among equals in my heart, Mr. Keeps. Um, I love shrimp, by the way. Will result in Masonic development or will provide him with an opportunity for empowerment or leadership. However, drives within this category, there exists no scarcity or risk or loss, which results in procrastination. Since these drives are entirely based on members' internal motivation, that member can always decide to advance the epic meaning, develop within Masonry, or take advantage of any opportunities at the next meeting. So this category is good for creating long-term member engagement if the motivations are sufficiently explained and understood. If members genuinely understand how and why Masonic engagement makes them better and makes the world better, this author argues they will be more likely to engage. The question is, how many members genuinely understand how and why Masonic engagement makes them better and makes the world better? So the danger of this one, any category or any drive that relies on your internal desire to take part and doesn't rely on any external risks or threats or the threat of loss, it's very easy to procrastinate. So for example, I have a pool. I'm very lucky to have a pool in my building. I'm grateful for that. However, the pool it's an outdoor pool. It's open from usually around May to October. Then it closes for the winter. When do you think I'm most likely to use the pool? Right? It's October because I know I'm going to lose it. The rest of the summer, I see it in the window every day. I think today's the day I'm going to swim, and then I don't because I know I've got it tomorrow. Right? Now, if I were to get a letter in the mail or a notice from my condo board and it were to say, we are actually going to close the pool early this year, I would use it every day. But because there's no external threat, I can always procrastinate and tell myself, we have plenty of time. We have plenty of time, right? Colors, I'm going to tell you this, my favorite color is pink. I hope that means something. My favorite color is pink. Then there's category 4, which is external. It's called black hat or bottom or external drives. These are drives which rely on a user being forced into engagement via a fear of loss or through some other external factor, such as a boss forcing an employee into work at risk of termination. The drives that fit into this category are scarcity or impatience, unpredictability and curiosity, loss or avoidance. This is a category that results in short-term gains, but can, depending on how it is applied, result in burnout and resentment by constantly forcing a sense of urgency or stress onto the user. This connects to human history and the tendency to fight for scarce resources. Challenge. Our brains don't like to track long-term benefits. Our brains are better with short-term rewards. Right? The above drives and categories create a framework by which we can understand what motivates Masonic engagement, but is a framework that fits into a larger framework of the Masonic journey. So for example, there's 2 reasons to go to your job. You can go to your job because you genuinely love your job, or you can go to your job because you want to get paid. However, if your boss relies entirely on the latter and says, I know they're going to show up to their job because if they don't, I will fire them and they'll lose their paycheck or I'll punish them in some way. Eventually, the people showing up to work, if they're not enjoying it, will do the bare minimum in order to get paid and do nothing else or just quit, right? Because they'll be resentful. They'll feel like they have something being held over their head and nobody likes that. It's funny. On the short term, these motivations are actually the most effective. You look at a dictatorship. If You're trying to convince the people of your country to do what you want them to do. An army with weapons is a pretty great way to drive them and motivate them to do what you want them to do. However, that will last for, who knows how long before eventually the population rises up and overthrows you because you never give them a reason to do anything you want other than fear and intimidation and external motivations, and that results in resentment over time. Um, the Nigerian Nightmare. I have no idea what you're saying, but welcome, Nigerian Nightmare, right? So, for example, the threat of a Masonic charter, which means the loss of Masonic lodge, extra fees, or the loss of Masonic membership all drive engagement related to administrative work through the fear of loss or punishment. This is black hat category. This threat can be effective, but can also result in burnout, stress, and resentment. This is especially true if membership does not understand why the administrative work and procedures are necessary, right? And so, for example, if I'm told as the secretary of a lodge, you need to complete this paperwork on this date or we will shut down your Masonic lodge, and I don't see the value of it or the necessity of it, I may do it, but I'm not going to enjoy doing it. I'm not going to be happy doing it. And that may lead to resentments. Right? A game by its nature, this is the kind of conclusion, is dynamic. No one plays a game in which nothing happens. The player goes on a journey, the user goes on a journey. What is the Masonic journey? It is discovery, onboarding, scaffolding, and endgame. Hello, Mohammed. Thank you for being here. Intuitively, most members see Freemasonry as one experience. This is a mistake. From a motivation standpoint, a member's engagement is continuously evolving. The way a member engages on day 1 and the way a member engages on day 100 will be different. If Freemasonry engages members on day 1, but by day 100, those members find Freemasonry boring and uninspiring, something went wrong. By the way, Christopher, welcome. I am doing good. Christopher, you're always telling me to join your cult. If you give a super chat of $1, I will join your cult. The first phase of a user's journey starts when he discovers Freemasonry. The discovery could take place through friends, family, maybe seeing a Masonic parade float or seeing the square and compasses symbol in public. Freemasons need to think about and optimize the motivation users have when they discover Freemasonry. Yes, and we're a big help with that, Christopher, so thank you. Freemasons need to think about and optimize the motivation users have when they discover Freemasonry. In this phase, the user is not yet a member, but rather an applicant who has discovered Freemasonry and approached a Mason. In the classic to be one, ask one, looking for more information. It is in this phase that the core drives of the applicant must be determined. Is he motivated by curiosity? Is he motivated by fear of missing out on something valuable? Is he motivated by a desire for meaning or purpose? Determining the core drive of the applicant is vital to ensuring engagement, both in this phase and in all phases. Well, first you have to give me $1, Christopher. The second phase of a user's journey is the phase in which the applicant becomes a member and becomes familiar with Masonic rules, Masonic structures, and the mechanics of the Masonic lodge or body. It is in this phase the user moves from applicant to member, and is also necessary during this phase for the Masonic lodge or body of which he is a member to familiarize the member both with the rules and structures of Freemasonry and why those rules and structures exist. Sometimes the why needs to be expressed in words, and sometimes actions will suffice. It should be. I would love to take over the planet, and then Mars, and then Jupiter next. You got the wrong guy, Lon. My dad is Harry, but all right. Phase 3, scaffolding. The third phase of a user's journey is the phase in which the now member uses all of the rules and structures he learned about in the onboarding phase to try and reach as many win states as possible. A win state is a state or states representing achievement. It could be advancing through Masonic degrees, taking an officer position, taking the Worshipful Master's chair, or taking a position in Grand Lodge. In a player's journey, this phase is supposedly where the most fun should happen, and usually has equal standing within all 8 core drives, depending on what your product actually does and for whom it is designed for. The scaffolding phase is where users come back on a regular or daily basis to commit mostly repetitive desired actions. We talked about how almost all games are doing repetitive actions over and over again for hours. Candy Crush constantly matches 3 gems. Angry Birds constantly sling out birds, and RPGs constantly kill the same monsters on the same stage over and over again. So what is the motivation for users to come back and do the exact same things over and over again for hours every day? That is this question the scaffolding phase seeks to answer. Phase 4, the end game. The end game is the next phase in which a user feels they've done everything there is to do. What's next? This phase is equivalent to a past master who no longer engages with Freemasonry because he feels he has done everything he can do. Not spending enough time thinking about this last phase is a gigantic mistake. If Freemasonry does not find a way to keep its past masters engaged, while at the same time not allowing them to remove the empowerment and autonomy from new members, then a wealth of knowledge will be lost as these past masters will disengage. Conclusion: the motivations or drives that cause a member to be engaged will vary both between members and throughout a Masonic career. Understanding these motivations and drives will help Freemasonry increase the engagement among its membership. Increasing engagement amongst its membership is vital to and for the future of Freemasonry. So there you go. I hope you guys enjoyed learning about that. I hope you found that interesting. Let's give it a bit of time now, and we're back to the general discussion. And I made this announcement here first, and from now on, I'll be making this announcement on all of my social media platforms. So stay tuned. And let's give it a bit more time. And see, now we're back at anybody has any general questions, comments, thoughts on Freemasonry, positive, negative, or neutral? I'd love to hear them. So what is a game loop versus a game chain? That's interesting. Let me look this up. So Game Loop is a PC emulator for mobile games, while Game Chain is a blockchain framework for Web3 gaming. Game Loop focuses on running games on a different platform for better performance and a larger screen. Game Chain is a technology that provides benefits for game developers, improves security. Okay, so it's the platform. I don't believe he is a Freemason. I think that's a conspiracy theory. I've never heard any evidence that he's a Freemason. Now, he could be, and I could be completely wrong, but he is, to my understanding, not a Freemason. I can see a man in the profile pic. I have no idea what who the man is. You could be right. Like I said, I have no idea. Okay, well, welcome, 19-year-old Lon. Again, thank you for being here. Thank you for all of your support for the channel. I truly appreciate it. No, Seth, you're on your own. I'm not helping you with that. You have to figure it out for yourself. I wish you the best of luck, though, in your efforts. Well, first of all, how could I help you? I'm here. I can't climb through the stream through the screen. So you might be on your own. But I'm sure you'll figure it out. I have faith in you. Not that I'm saying you should. No one should break out. No one should sneak out. Um, no, sorry. I never snuck out. I was good. I never snuck out of my house. So now he's getting advice from the chat. There you go. Can't you just talk to your parents, Seth? Can't you just talk to your parents about this whole sneaking out situation and just say you'd like to leave? It's an exciting chat. I will give you that. It has been a very exciting chat compared to others. The chicken came first, I believe. ER_LUMEN. I'm going to call you Lumen. I'm going to go with the chicken came first. The chicken would have evolved, right? From dinosaurs, I suppose. Birds are dinosaurs, is what I've read and what I've seen on the YouTubes. Actually, Lex Friedman, who I enjoy, just did a really cool interview about dinosaurs. Edgar Avalos. I believe in a supreme being, but I do not believe necessarily in any particular faith or religion. I believe Jesus was a real human being who existed at the time and had a lot of very valuable insights, but I'm hesitant to say I believe in any particular faith. Well, then, yes, I got nothing, Seth. You're on your own. But Edgar, welcome. Pastor, you can contact Square and Compass Promotions by going to info@squareandcompass.ca or following us on social media. I am not. I believe in a supreme being. I just don't necessarily have any particular religious affiliations, if that makes any sense at all. Going to give it. Well, again, I don't necessarily have any faith in any particular religions. Having said that, I do, I'll never be a reviler of people's religions. And I absolutely have a lot of respect for people of the Islamic faith. I've got a lot of Islamic brethren and I love them all. So, yeah, I guess what I'd say to that is uh, the thing I love about Freemasonry the most is its welcoming of men of different faiths, backgrounds, ethnicities, religions, ages, etc., etc. Edgar, welcome. Let me know if you have any thoughts on Freemasonry, positive, negative, or neutral. I'd love to hear it. I think deistic might be a good way to put it. Much more so than theistic. Um, Interesting. A lot of founding fathers, I think, had a deistic quality to them as well. But I think deism is a good way to view it. I've heard that. I do not know if that's 100% true. I believe the King of Jordan is actually a Freemason. I do think that is confirmed, but I'm not sure if the King of Saudi is a Freemason. The goats are great, Stormy. The goats are great. How's it going for you? I hope you're doing well. I hope you'll hit the like button and the subscribe button, by the way. And thank you for being here. If you're already subscribed, then thank you for joining once again. I hope you're doing well. Letter J came out and like, what was Jesus's real name? Well, Yahweh, right? If I'm not mistaken. I'm not a theology. I'm not a theologian, so or a religious studies expert. So for heaven's sakes, don't trust me when I say this stuff. But I believe that is the case. Who was your king? Well, thank you, Stormy. You could also do a super chat of $1 for my great sense of humor. I was right. Yeah, Yahweh Yeshua. Well, I think, look, historical records are always going to be tricky, right? Unfortunately, that's kind of just the nature of history, right? And whether it's religious history, biblical history, pick your term, it's always going to have a um, there's always going to be difficulty when you're trying to determine any of these kind of confirm any of these things, right? I think it's important though. At a certain point, you just have to go on a certain level of faith for anything, right? When it comes to historical record, it's 2,000 years, etc. However, I do think, based on at least what I've researched, that Jesus was a real person who existed at the time, that it's believed he existed. I've just always been very questioning of supernatural elements in any religion. Thank you. That I appreciate that you enjoy my shows. I do my best to make them enjoyable and interesting, and truly, truly appreciate you being here. Thank you, Apple Tree. It was wonderful to have you join. Um, and I will see you later as well, Muhammad. But thank you for being here. Interesting enough, on a side note, they just released the 20 most powerful passports on the Henley Passport Index. US fell out of the top 20. I'm going to see if I can find the actual list. Top 20 passports. Here it is. Henley and Partners did it. Oh, okay. Singapore is first, South Korea is second, Japan is third, Germany is fourth. Trying to figure out where Canada is in this whole thing. Canada is 183. Let's check out the global rankings. Where is America in this whole one? Control F. It has to be united, right? United States is ranked at 180, so Canada is ranked at 183. All right. Thank you, EA Freemason. And like I said, maybe if you want to share the article I wrote with your Masonic brethren, I hope you'll consider doing so. And I hope the Earth doesn't flood soon, Lon, because I'm rather fond of the Earth. I do like to swim, but I think a flood would be not an enjoyable experience. I think you mean Age of Aquarius, unless you're making a joke. You know, flood, water, aquarium. Um, well, I hope there's no big swash. That's for sure. But thank you, Lon. Let me know, Lon, do you have any topics you ever want to see me discover or discuss on this channel? Please let me know what they are. I'd love to try to get them for you. Especially we have the 24-hour live stream coming up. And so I need a few different streams to go over that. I've heard that that's supposed to happen. Like you're not the first person to say that, but we'll see what happens with it. I mean, I think human beings are probably pretty adaptable. I can imagine animals would have a bigger challenge with it because a lot of animals, to my understanding, use the magnetic poles to navigate. I have to, because I had a bunch of coffee this morning, run to the washroom. I'm going to leave you guys with my wonderful co-host. He says like and subscribe and leave a super chat. I'll be back in a moment because I have to go to the washroom like crazy. Okay, I made it back. That's right. We'll be ending the stream soon. I had to run to the washroom like crazy. But I'll probably go till, I guess, 4 p.m. Eastern, so a 3-hour stream. Mr. Keeps, what do you think of the story? I'm curious. Do you ever have to think about engagement with your line of work? Because I know you said you're engaged with like cybersecurity. To what extent do you try to design things so they're not just effective, but also that they encourage people to actually engage with them or use them? Um, I hope we can make it to Mars. I would love to be on Mars. Again, if I could be the first Freemason on Mars, I think that would be awesome. Um, and I would, let me tell you, if I took a trip to Mars, I would not be like Buzz Aldrin. I would make sure to jump on the surface of Mars first in order to say a Freemason was the first one to land on Mars. We had it with the moon, but then we lost it when, Neil went first. So, darn it, Buzz Aldrin. I'm sure they have it. Like I'm sure they've got the correct spacesuits. Um, we have an interactive cybersecurity training program where once a year. Okay, and I'm guessing the primary drive and motivation for them to take part in the training program, right, is fear of loss in the sense that if they don't take it, they might, face reprimand from their fear of loss or avoidance. They might face reprimand from their bosses. They might lose their job. They might face some other type of penalty, which they wish to avoid, or they're afraid they might lose their job. Yeah, so that's an example of core drive 8. Um, they want to avoid getting called in for training, so they do it, which can be a very effective motivating tool. Don't get me wrong. Um, Oftentimes, when it comes to employment, that's the primary type of drive, right? Is do this or suspension without pay, getting fired, whatever it might be. But hopefully, you combine that with some type of drive that makes the experience enjoyable, or they understand why it's important, why it matters, what the risks are of not doing it. So that way, they'll have at least some motivation to do it outside of just the desire or the drive to avoid getting called in for training. But I'm sure you've thought of all that, right? My point is with this, the reason I bring that up is just to say these ideas, these topics, these drives are not unique to Freemasonry. They are part of the daily fabric of what encourages or drives people or motivates people to do things. That's the no need to LOL with that one, Mr. Keeps. I think you're absolutely right to do that. Right? As I was saying, one of the biggest dangers, I think, when it comes to motivation is if you tell people do this or you're punished, but you don't tell people why it's important to do it, why it matters, you just tell them do it or else, um, that's not going to be very effective. They're either not going to do it and choose to fight against it, or they're going to do it, but they're going to do the minimum just to get by and just to pass. Actually, quote unquote, scaring them or telling them why it's important, why it matters, and the nightmare scenarios that can take place. I think it's really valuable. Um, and you could always give them a reward too. I don't know, like the first person to complete the course gets I don't know, a $5 Tim Hortons gift card or something, or I don't know, but yeah, it's kind of the reason why a doctor needs to not just tell you like if you go to the doctor's office and they just tell you exercise, but they don't tell you why, it's not going to be as effective if they tell you exercise or else you're going to have a heart attack or this or that. right? You and the doctor has no threat, so the doctor has no choice but to explain to you why it's necessary and the risks of not doing it. Um, yeah, I think that would be a good thing too, Mr. Keeps, because then you're basically at that point you're hitting three core drives, right? You are hitting the core drive of you've already got the core drive of fear of loss or sorry of avoidance. They're driven to take proper cybersecurity procedures because if they don't, they get called in for training and they want to avoid that. So you give them that. You also, by showing them why it's important, to some extent, you're engaging the core drive of epic meaning or calling. You're showing them, like, no, this actually matters. This is actually important. This actually means something beyond just you getting called in. This protects you and other people. And there's a meaning to that, as well as you want to avoid the nightmare scenarios. And then also, gift and rewards, it engages the drive of development and accomplishment. Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense, Mr. Keeps. And you could always test it out too. You could say, okay, right now we have, let's say, I don't know what the number is. I'm just going to take a guess. 90% of our employees are compliant with our cybersecurity rules. However, since we created the Employee of the Month and gift card giveaway, now we have 97% compliance with our cybersecurity features, right? So, well, but so Lon, I think you have to be careful with that. That this goes back to this over justification. There's only so much that one can do, right? And it depends on the circumstances. Like you couldn't give everybody a pay raise if they're compliant with or the most compliant with cybersecurity because that would be insane. But you can give one person a prize and they're gonna like it, right? It's one of those things where I think we went too far in the other direction. For a while, companies were using things like pizza parties as a way to not as a way to avoid criticism for things like not having adequate pay or whatever it is, right? They would say, yeah, but we give our employees pizza parties, and obviously that's not cool. But then it went the other way, which was, you know, if you can't give us a pay raise, don't do anything for the employees, which is also crazy, right? I mean, one of the reasons why Google was so successful is because of all the things they gave to their employees outside of the pay, right? Which do matter, which are important, which do make a difference, in my opinion. And I would love waffle parties. Waffles are absolutely delicious. I would probably pick pizza party over waffle party. Um, but I would choose probably a waffle party over a pizza party. I did over the weekend go to Buddy's Pizza in Dearborn and have some absolutely delicious Chicago, or sorry, not Chicago, Detroit style pizza. It's the square pizzas. I put some pictures of it on my social media, on all my socials, so I hope you'll check those out. But sometimes, oh, clearly I'm missing out on Severance. I gotta watch that. But sometimes, Lon, you don't have both options, right? Sometimes a company may not be in a position to provide um, bonus pay, but they can provide pizza parties, so they should provide the pizza parties, right? Just because you can't provide everything doesn't mean you should provide nothing, if that makes any sense at all. And I think with what Mr. Keeps was saying, I can absolutely see some type of gift card promotion for the cybersecurity employee of the month. Seems like a really cool thing. Might be worth trying. Probably get a slightly more engagement in the program. I got the spicy Sicilian. It was also a local company. And one thing I was really impressed with when it came to the Worshipful Master is he was saying after every meeting, he makes it a point to try to go to a local business and mention that it's the Masons going there. I think that's awesome. I think it's wonderful to see. And I think more people, more Masonic lodges need to be doing stuff like that. And interestingly enough, today is Multiculturalism Day. I did not know that. Cool. I think most people know, call me a squishy liberal or whatever it is, but I tend to be pretty supportive of multiculturalism. So, not enough, Mr. Keeps, but every lodge will kind of decide for themselves which events they want to hold. So it can be anything from, barbecues and picnics and banquets. Certainly around Christmas, you have a lot of Christmas dinners and Christmas events, and sometimes even Christmas dances for the families, through to large scale banquets, through to open houses, tours of buildings. Uh, we've done alcohol and we've done whiskey tastings, beer and cheese tastings, murder mystery nights. Every lodge, see, it's hard because there's so many lodges around the world. Um, Kind of every Masonic lodge decides for itself. Some lodges, like Border Cities Lodge, my lodge, we do a lot of public events. We've had coffee with the cop, coffee with a fire crew, coffee with Play Smart, first aid training. Sorry, question. If I go from Royal Arch to Cryptic, for example, you would stay in both. I would need to double check with Igor because he's York to confirm. But you would be part of both. You would not lose the Royal Arch because it's kind of like in Scottish Rite. Like once I joined Lodge of Perfection. Then I moved on to Rose Qua. But it's not as though because I was part of Rose Qua, I lose my Lodge of Perfection. So I believe you maintain both. But I would need to double check with Igor to make sure. But you would stay in both, to my understanding of it. In the same way, like once you join Royal Arch, you're still a Mason. But let me double check with Igor to make sure I'm getting that correct. And then the other thing I'll mention, Mr. Keeps, is there is such a thing as like when we think about Masonic events, I think sometimes we have a tendency to think far too big in what a Masonic event is. Going out for pizza with all my brethren last night, that is a Masonic event as much as anything else. So you need to keep that in mind also. Welcome back, colonizer Lon. We'll be doing this stream for another 7 minutes, give or take. I'll finish at 4 p.m. Eastern. I will be back on at 1 a.m. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Don't forget, on the 21st, it's our next 24-hour live stream. Because the Patreons voted, the first topic is going to be Masonic ghost stories. Actually, what I do plan on doing is, as we're going through the ghost stories, if anyone has any ghost stories specifically about Freemasonry and does a super chat, I'll make sure to read theirs first. As long as, as well as my Masonic ghost stories. The 1 a.m. streams, just because I find I have different people show up at 1 a.m. I have kind of a 1 a.m. and 1 p.m. Eastern audience, and I enjoy them both. I'll probably switch sooner or later to exclusively 1 p.m. and just do these for longer, but I find I get both, so. I'm one of them. I've always been a night owl. Clearly, I mean, is there any connections between Freemasonry and Back to the Future? I'm kind of curious now. The future. So there's a church sign, the number 33 and 34, Twin Pines Mall. I've never seen it, so I will wish you back. I wish you best of luck, Mr. Keeps. I don't get it. Oh, there is a. Sorry, there is a. No, never mind. I see nothing that indicates Back to the Future has anything to do with Freemasonry. That makes me sad because it would have been a fun thing to talk about. See, I know the flux capacitor, that goes on the DeLorean, right? They needed that to actually make the thing operate, if I recall correctly. Okay, guys, thank you all so much for joining. Unless somebody jumps on in the next 4 minutes, I will be ending this stream. Be back on at 1 a.m., then 1 p.m. And now that I made the announcement here, you'll be seeing the announcement on all my other sites very shortly, social media sites. And to anybody who likes Smokey, to Adeline, if you're joining us, let me know if you get the postcard. I mailed it I put it in the mailbox on Saturday, so it should have been mailed out on Monday. So we shall see if you guys get it. If you don't, I'll resend it. I mailed it from the States, so yeah, but I hope everybody has an excellent day. Happy Multiculturalism Day. I just found out. I hope you read my article in Medium, read my story, follow me on Medium, all that good jazz. All right. I said give it a couple minutes just in case somebody jumps on. But it's been a great stream. I've loved it. Thank you, everybody who's been here. And it was really fun to get to share this news with you guys first. All right, guys. Let's call it for this one. See you perhaps at 1 a.m. All right, talk to you guys later. Thank you so much. And everybody have a great, have a great rest of your day. See you later, Mr. Keeps.